And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah.
Full battery day on FT. Pierzynski and Kratz with Trevor May back on FT, and also first time on Valley Sports Style FT. So, Trevor, you can say hi to your Minnesota fans that missed you that are only watching TV or the app.
What's up, Twins territory? How we doing?
There you go. Perfect. All right. So last night was one of those loaded nights. So we'll jump right into it and let's charge the damn mound.
Charging the mound.
Good guest list today, so I want to make sure we spend some good time on this. Bench is clear early on. I mean, really early on in San Diego. Set the scene just for a moment. Jerks and Profar, walk-off smash Monday. Tuesday, first AB, Keibert Ruiz talking to him. Ends up kind of like poking him. We're showing it right now if you're listening to the podcast. There's multiple finger-to-chest contact before the at-bat started, but then everything was cool. Then they just hit him with a pitch. But it hit his foot, but still looked like Mackenzie Gore was pissed, maybe at the fact that he didn't get a better spot. But, AJ, what did you see?
Well, first of all, Mackenzie Gore should have been ejected immediately instead of Mike Schilt. You have that happen, and then he hits him the next pitch. I mean, that's auto ejection. It should have been. I don't know who the umpire was, but I think it was number 120, so he needs to go back to umpire school because if MLB is really concerned about it, you can't make it any more obvious. I don't know what Ruiz is doing in this world we live in. Like, guys hit walk-offs, you can do whatever you want. I mean, there's no, they said he was yelling at the bench, whatever. Who cares? I mean, go inside, you lost, go back into your little clubhouse and not worry about it. I don't understand. I mean, yeah, I get you're standing up for your guy and this and that. But, I mean, Profar was mad. They walked a rise to get to him. Then he hits a ground rule double to win the game. He was excited. I can't tell you how many times I never watched a guy hit a walk-off. As soon as it was hit, I just jogged off the field and let them do whatever they want. Let them have fun. And then when you hit a walk-off, you get to do the same thing. That's the way baseball is nowadays.
Yeah, why were they waiting on Monday to see if Profar was going to do something? That's what Dan Kolko, the Nationals reporter, talked about. I listened to his report during the game, Kratz, and Kolko's really good. I mean, he's plugged in with the team for years. He was basically saying they were waiting around. Once Profar looked over at them, he at least mentioned some guys, not by name, that were waiting to see if there was anything more out of it. Like, what are you going to do? Start a fight once he touches home plate after the walk-off?
There's no bigger excitement than a walk-off. I mean, a walk-off ground rule double, a walk-off homer, like they walked a rise to get to him. Yes, you're going to be, like, the guy's going to be juiced. Even if they didn't walk him, like, he's juiced. Like, emotions flow. So what? To me, Keibert Ruiz, I credit him for saying whatever he said, but he didn't need to make such a big display out of it and put his finger in his chest and like he's like the keeper of the gate. Like, if you want to say something to him, just say something to him. And none of this ever happens. You want to hit him? You don't even need to say anything. Just hit him. Actions speak louder than words.
Pick
Trevor,
one.
Yeah,
that's what I have to say. Just pick one. Either say something, just do what you're gonna do. But it turned into a big spectacle on purpose. It's like they wanted that. I understand the whole lighting a fire under your team, and the Nationals are in that group of like 9 teams that can make the playoffs, and they're gonna run away. I get it. I understand maybe they're feeling a little lethargic, and he feels like you got to fire guys up, but. I'm a pitcher. Like, we giving up walk-offs. Like, if there was ever a time where you simply cannot care about what they do, it's a walk-off. Like, that is the appropriate time there is. Whatever. Have your opinions on a third inning down 4-0 solo shot, a guy pimping that, looking at you and yelling or whatever. Have your opinion on that. But like walk-offs, you got to have a certain level of well, I guess that happened, and I'm the same way too. If guy I gave up a walk-off homer last year, I didn't see where it landed. I was almost in the dugout by the time it landed. So that's how those things usually work. So even if you're noticing, I mean, what are you doing? It's my opinion.
You think Gore threw at him right there? You think Gore?
Probably. Yeah.
Pitchers. You think so?
Yeah. That's kind of crazy to be a coincidence, especially. Frankly, lefties aren't throwing into lefties that often on purpose. So I'm just like, I don't really I don't really see how how that could be on accident. And Jerkson's one of those guys where I just feel like he's an energy guy. Like that, everyone says that about him in a clubhouse. Every teams have these, and when these types of things happen, I almost think of him. It's not quite the same thing as in hockey with the goon, but the goon was the energy guy. He was supposed to be out there to mix it up a little bit and light a fire under his team and protect his best players. You got to have guys who are willing to like say something and like rile people up, and Jerkson's been one of those guys. So if you play against him, sometimes he's the easiest guy in a lineup to not like very much, and that probably colored a little bit of these conversations too. It becomes a little bit of an easier decision for them to make. That shouldn't be easy to make, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they're, hey, we're just going to plunk him right here, go old school. And the way Keibert reacted to with the finger and stuff kind of all lines up. Looks like it was pretty premeditated.
Yeah, and then Profar, of course, gets on after getting hit by a pitch. Machado follows, hits a smash. It was a great call, too, from Don Arcillo. I know we all like him, right? He's like, they intentionally hit Profar, and Machado intentionally hits a homer, or whatever he said. It was really good, and we're showing the homer now. But then also fast forward to later on, AJ, Jerkson Profar has been one of the best players in baseball this year. They signed him for $1 million plus some incentives. Like, he is cheap as hell right now, and he's been one of the best players in the sport. He hits a grand slam later on, right? That's basically what decides the game. So with all of that being said, I also want to ask you about the beginning here. Were there not warnings issued? And if so, and you said Gore should be booted from the game, I know it's a tough sell. It's one of the better pitchers in the league right now, but doesn't the ump have to toss him from the game once they threw the warnings out there and the Nats already started beef and then continued it?
He should have been ejected. That's why Mike Schilt got ejected. He should have been ejected. As soon as that pitch left his hand, he should have been ejected. I mean, I don't know how they let him stay in the game. And good for Jerks and Profar for hitting that grand slam. Because, listen, I played with Jerks when he first came up. Contrary to what Trevor says, I played with him. He's one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. Always smiling, always happy as can be. Yeah, he might talk a little trash, but I love playing with him. I saw him last weekend. Huge smile on his face. I'm super happy he's having a great year. He should be in the All-Star game. Heck, he should be starting in the All-Star game. But, yeah, I mean, Mackenzie Gore, he should have been ejected. I mean, he knew what he was doing. Don't give me he didn't throw it him on purpose. He hit him in the leg. Whatever. The first pitch he throws after they get into a bench-clearing altercation hits the guy they were talking trash to. Yeah, it should be auto-eject.
Yeah, good call. And then, Kratz, there were also quite a few mistakes, so I'm sure this made you cringe. CJ Abrams, who's been great this year, just not paying attention. And the Pods just seemed hyped for this game, right? You also had Luis Arraez getting a triple. He's not the world's fastest. And trust me, I would say that. And we're showing right now on the screen, CJ Abrams just moseying back to first. And there's Parr like, dude, quick. And they put the tag on. So there were multiple plays where they made mistakes. I know we're kind of smashing the Nats right now, and we've been pretty high on what they've done. They've exceeded expectations, but I think we all agree this was just a bad game for them on many levels.
Did CB Buckner call him safe at first? Is that who was at first?
I don't know who was at first, but they called him safe. They had to review it.
Yeah, they reviewed it. This was something that was premeditated too. You talk about premeditation, that's the Padres scouting department or coaches, whoever, realizing that they do that kind of stuff, because you don't see a rise like, motion to him or anything. He was just standing there waiting for him, and that was a very travel ball-esque thing to do. As I watch travel ball baseball right now, you see some things that you're just like, ugh. But
Arraez threw his glove. Arraez threw his glove up. Watch right there. See him go.
Oh, he did. He did. He flicked his glove right there.
And
Who was
Hassan
playing?
Kim
Was that Kim?
Yeah, and Hassan Kim was looking. Abrams was just. It reminds me of the play Yadi Molina picked a guy off. Remember, it might have been Profar.
Remember who that was?
It was Profar.
Remember who that was? It was Profar.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It all comes around.
Incredible. Well, the
And what a
Padres
scene. Let's not forget what a scene it was in San Diego last night. I mean, that place was going crazy. I mean,
I love that place.
They packed in the place every game. And last night after Profar's walk-off and then after the altercation, that place was absolutely insane. And it should be, because the Padres fans love their team, and they're hanging in there for a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, they're in the mix. Also, by the way, just so that we don't give CB Buckner more hate than he already gets from many fans. Edwin Moscoso was your first base umpire.
Edwin
Moscoso. So the Padres, yes, are 43-41 on the season. We talked, what was it, yesterday about how they're missing dudes. Tatis is going to miss some time. Darvish is set back. So, they've had their fair share of injuries, but if you look at where they're at right now, I mean, AJ's right. They are very, very in the mix. They're in second place in the West out of all those teams, right? We had a hard time deciphering how the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Giants would lay out 2, 3, 4 in the division. But right now, they're up on the Diamondbacks, not by much, but by a game and a half. And like you mentioned, AJ, they're right now in a playoff spot. And I will tell you this, if they are in this range, AJ Preller is probably going to acquire a name that we know. And
he doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any money to do it, though.
He has money. Yes, he does. He has money. It's called prospects, and he's not afraid to shed them.
Yeah, but they don't have any money. They can't take on a lot of capital. They're kind of in a bad spot right now because of the ownership situation.
Yeah, I know they're floating near that luxury tax number that they want to stay under, or whatever the line is that they have.
It's not that. It's the ownership, because the ownership is, because of what happened with Peter Seidler. They're kind of in the ownership has kind of fallen into a trust, and so the person that's running it right now, I don't know that that's why they had to cut so much payroll and trade Soto and get rid of Hader and all the moves they had to make in the offseason was because, and they kind of made some low rent moves because they're not able to make moves until this thing is figured out exactly who's going to own the team. It's gone, I think, into a Seidler family trust, so they're not exactly sure who's making decisions. But I know AJ Preller's hands with money are kind of tied.
AJ Preller will make some moves. This man will leave some prospects go. He will make moves. And to me, if they make the playoffs, this just shows this guy made the Arise move. He made the end of spring training Dylan Cease move. We always hear trades. Oh, we can't trade right now. It costs too much. You know what it costs if they make the playoffs? However many games Luis Arise helped them win since they got them till the trade deadline. That's the cost. And if that's what gets them to the playoffs, boo-hoo on other teams who don't make trades earlier.
Facts. And he has not been the world's perfect general manager or president of baseball ops. You can read some of Ken's story last year about some of the people that were surrounding the team and the beef that he had with manager Bob Melvin. But at the same time, this is a fun GM. This is a fun guy that runs a baseball club because he makes moves like this versus teams that have been, so stale. So yeah, it's enjoyable. He knows that San Diego is all about the Padres right now. All right. So we'll step aside. Our first guest is coming soon, and that's Adam Ottavino on one of the other big series going down this weekend, the Subway Series with the Mets and Yanks. We'll be right back on Bally Sports TV and the app. If you're on YouTube, stay here. All right, FT fam, SeatGeek's the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. They've got you covered for your baseball ticket needs. That includes not just sports, but also concerts, festivals, etc. All right, one seat tonight, one ticket. Trevor May, looking at the schedule. Where are you going? We'll fly you anywhere. You have to get the ticket on SeatGeek. Where are you going?
I'm going directly behind the plate in LA Angels A's, just so I can yell at Shea Langeliers for the entire game.
There'll be seats available.
That's true. One example of what you would yell at him is what?
Swing harder. Yeah, let him know he needs to swing a little bit harder. That's usually what the issue is. It's not swinging hard enough. So
nice, love it. Who's got one?
Heel. Got to see Heel play. I got to see Heel, how he bounces back. The adrenaline of the Subway Series. Need it.
AJ, you got a game besides?
Yeah, I'm going to San Diego. I mean, I want to see Cease pitch against the Nats, and after last night's game and the last two games and all the emotion, Dylan Cease, one of my guys, I love him, and I want to see how he pitches with all the emotion. And the crowd's going to be on fire again, especially with the chance to get another W and creep up farther over 500 for the Padres.
I'll throw two more out there in case you're in these specific regions in the country. Cleveland-Baltimore series has been really good. Cleveland, though, taking it to Baltimore yesterday, high-scoring affair. You've got Carrasco against Grayson Rodriguez, so it looks like a mismatch on paper, but we'll see. And then Gavin Stone, who I love to watch on the Dodgers and the progression he's made against Eric Fetty. I'm watching all the Fetty starts right now since he's going to get traded. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek's the number one rated ticketing app, and SeatGeek has your tickets to all the games, all the Major League Baseball games that you would like to consume in person. And they are backed by their buyer guarantee. It's the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. You can look into that. And FT has the promo code for you if you're new to the party. $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase when you use the promo code FOUL, F-O-U-L. Make sure you click the link in the description to download that app. We are coming right back on FT with Adam Ottavino talking about what happened with Edwin Diaz and then pushing forward to the Mets-Yankees series. FT is flying. We're landing in New York City. We got Adam Ottavino on the show right now to talk about the Subway Series. Adam, great to have you back on the show, and congrats on the big win for the Mets in Game 1 of this series yesterday. How was it? How fun was it? I know there were a lot of chapters to the story here that we'll get into, but, you're a New York City guy. How was this for you?
It was fun, Mets win. That's all that matters, and we had a great time last night. Crowd was electric. It's been good every time I've been a part of this, but last night was definitely another good chapter in it.
Can I ask you first about the Yankee side, because I know you know Cole well too. What did you see from him, and did you hear his post-game comments about how he was firing close to upper 90s but didn't have the control in the first, so he dialed it back and your side took advantage?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely noticed it in the second inning, looking at the iPad, that his velo dropped a little bit there. I haven't talked to Gerrit yet, but I was worried in the moment. I was like, man, maybe he's hurt, but it also made sense that he was dialing it back a little bit. He went back up to 96 pretty quick after that. But it was just one of those nights. He didn't have his best stuff, and we've been swinging it really well, so it was a tough matchup.
And then your boy Mark Vientos with not one but two big bombs. I also got to read a little bit about him. I didn't realize he grew up a huge David Wright fan, so this must have been special for him too. Now, he went through some ups and downs. I know if it was up to him, he would have been on the team right from the jump there, but he's been huge for you guys. Actually, who was it last night on the broadcast? Keith Hernandez called him Giancarlo Stanton Light because he's strong as hell. So what do you have for us on Vientos and what you saw from him yesterday?
I mean, he can really swing it. He hits the ball as hard as anyone. So the Stanton comparison makes a little bit of sense. But I'm just really proud of the guy. He was disappointed coming out of spring, probably rightfully so. But, he just kept his head down, kept working. And, the cream always rises to the top. And I think he's proven that right now.
Hey, Otto, big fan, longtime fan, long time no talk. I got a question about Alvarez. I think it's Francisco Alvarez, the catcher. I think it's no surprise to anybody that the recent success kind of coincides with him coming off the IL and becoming an everyday part of this team. I remember when I first met him being really impressed with his ability to call a game and receive, and he's only gotten better since then. What has impressed you so much? What's it like having him back there? Does it feel like there's a young guy back there? Does it feel like there's been a veteran that's been back there for a decade?
Hey, what's up, T-May? It's definitely a weird thing when you're trusting such a young guy with so much responsibility back there. But as the days go by, he's earned that trust and then some. He's the type of guy that is just really good at getting himself better, and he learns from everything every day. He's an absolute sponge. It's just really impressive to see his feel for the game. I don't know if that's something you can teach or not, but he definitely has it. He doesn't just rely on the analytics only. He's in tune with that stuff, but he's also feeling the game out, and he knows the strength of his pitchers. And I mean, his pitch calling is top notch. We've definitely got on a nice run with him behind the plate. And just his emotional boost that he provides to the team too, his energy and his enthusiasm, is definitely infectious. So I'm a huge fan of his, and it's really cool to see him at this stage of his career already be so good.
A couple follow-ups on Alvarez. One, can you describe more specifics on his game calling and if, it stands out for a young catcher? It does seem like he's pretty aggressive calling pitches inside in a good way. And then number two, is this a thing? Is this normal? I saw this last night, and I think one of the broadcasters mentioned that they hadn't seen it, or maybe had seen it only once. Peterson was getting close to the shot clock expiring, the pitch clock. And Alvarez here, I'll put my finger in where he's going like this. He's like paying attention to the clock, and he hurries him up. I've seen him do some of the timeouts to save his pitchers, but I hadn't seen this before. And then Peterson did kind of rush himself to get the pitch going. So did you notice that?
I didn't notice that. In the past, he's kind of called time and like run out there if we're about to get a violation in a big spot. So he's definitely has a good feel for the clock and the cadence of all of that. In terms of the pitch calling, for me, I think it's important to know the game plan and to know the hitters and to know the script, but at the same time, be able to watch what's happening in front of you, because a lot of that analytics is kind of like for a sample size of infinity. But if you're paying attention enough in the moment, you can get advantages, for what's necessary right now. And I've played with a lot of catchers that didn't have that type of feel. And then the ones that do, it definitely stands out because, they're just kind of in the moment, exactly where they need to be. They're very present, and that's what he does. And I think that there's small edges to be gained with that type of ability.
Okay, we're giving Alvarez all the credit for this run. I thought it was Grimace that made you guys get hot. I don't understand why we're giving Alvarez so much credit.
Yeah, I mean, clearly a McDonald's place mascot has been hitting all the homers and throwing all the strikes and making all the plays.
Hey, whatever it takes, as you know, whatever it takes in baseball to get you hot, you'll do whatever it takes. So, listen, if you need Grimace to throw out the first pitch, you have Grimace.
Yeah, I mean, we don't care. We'll take it. The fans are running with it. There was some Grimace costumes in the stands last night. Whatever it takes to galvanize the fan base, I mean, we'll definitely take it.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so one of your fellow bullpen guys just got his 10-game suspension. What did he say to you guys, and what were your thoughts when you saw him go out there? And then obviously you've seen the picture of his hand. If it was just rosin, why can't we have a test that says, hey, it's just rosin?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some frustration across the league with just that everything's umpire's discretion in this regard, and it's kind of hard to know where the line is. And even if you have a certain practice with getting sweaty and grabbing the rosin bag or grabbing dirt or whatever you're doing, depending on the weather, your hand might have a different level of tack. I think in the Cubs bullpen, you're inside like a controlled environment in there because it's inside and air conditioned. And then all of a sudden you run out and it's like super humid outside. So I don't really know the specifics of what he was doing that day, but I think it basically caught him by surprise. He was pretty surprised that he got ejected. He said he really hadn't done anything different than he had been doing. And he's our teammate, so we're always going to support him no matter what. But it's just a scary situation when you see that your closer's about to be ejected from the game and nobody's ready to go in there. So we were kind of scrambling a little bit out there. And luckily the boys that did go in did a good job.
Are there any situations where you guys are getting ready in the pen and you're like, oh, crap. Like you kind of like feel in your hand, you're like, uh-oh. Like the sweat and everything mixing together. This is bad, and start like wiping it off? Or is it something that, whatever, we'll see what happens?
Good question. I've done that before. I've been warming up and I've noticed that my hands are a little black a little bit from the, the rosin, and also the dirt on the ball and stuff like that, the mud on the ball, and just try to pick it off a little bit with my fingers. But then I like feel it with my left hand and I'm like, well, it's not sticky. And I mean, overall, they're trying to go off stickiness, I think, not really like color and stuff like that. So as long as you feel like you're not tacky, you're probably good to go. But I don't know. I think ever since the crackdown started, I've been more on the paranoid side than most guys probably. Like I just want to get out there and do my thing and try not to worry about it too much.
Adam, do you feel like some pitchers need more education on what the rules are right now, even if they disagree with them? Even if you're using substances that are legal, your hands can still get too sticky. So that's number one, because I feel like sometimes, you'll get an answer like, hey, I was just using what I normally use, but that's not necessarily okay within the rules. Number two, kind of a follow-up towards this is, okay, Edwin Diaz hadn't pitched yet. And I have seen situations where a pitcher comes out there and they go, hey, just wash your hands, it's too sticky, right? He's not even in the midst of his inning yet. The fact that that is, a rule for some and not for others, like the human side, the human element part there bothers me. Like, let's just make a decision. Can he go wash his hands? Because other pitchers have been able to do that. Do you feel like that part's messed up?
I think I tend to agree with you a little bit there. I mean, it does seem like there's been a double standard at times where guys have been able to go, clean it up or get it to an acceptable place for the umpires. But I mean, we've had 3 guys suspended in the last 2 years, and it's pretty detrimental to the team when that happens. So I would have loved for him to be given that opportunity. He wasn't, so we just have to roll with it. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the education, I mean, because we had the 2 guys suspended last year, I mean, the club has done a great job of really driving that home and making sure that if anything, you're on the safe side. It's just unfortunate what happened. We didn't see it coming. And, hopefully we can just move forward from it. But it was definitely a crappy situation.
Otto, what do you think about the suspension as it stands now, being 10 games still, being an immediate ejection? I understood the way I felt about it is I understood at the time when they're trying to change something in the middle of the season. You really want to drive that home, so you got to make it real scary. But keeping that, do you think that's probably a little bit overkill now? I mean, obviously you're on a team now that's been affected by it several times, but 10 games seems egregious to me. I'm wondering what you think.
Well, I mean, I think that the penalty is what it is got to be pretty stiff to really stop it. When the crackdown happened, you saw spin rates drop across the league, and then you've seen some creep back up across the league. So it's one of those things where they don't want it just to go back to the way it was before. It was definitely unfair for the hitters, and I think therefore you need to have some sort of stiff punishment. This one's a little weird because it's like a paid suspension, so like individually, it's maybe not as painful as some other things could be, but from a team perspective, it's pretty tough. So you have to live a little bit with that feeling of letting the boys down. And I know for me, that would haunt me pretty good.
Hey, I'll take you to another league topic. In the past couple days, or last night really, you had the Nats and Padres suddenly creating a rivalry, which is cool and fun. I'm just curious for your thoughts about the origin of the story. So Jurickson Profar hits a walk-off home run or a walk-off hit, whatever, on Monday or homer, and they didn't like the way that, he kind of looked towards the dugout because they intentionally walked in the garage to get to him. So where do you think is the line, and, what ticks off a team enough for then the next day them to try and send a message to him? You know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed as if, they felt like him looking towards the dugout was their line. And so they were pissed and they carried that into Tuesday's game. Curious what you've seen, and do you care about that stuff anymore with the way that the game has changed?
I mean, for me, I've always tried to, for the most part, to direct my emotion towards my own team and not towards the other team as much as I can. I just think that's sportsmanship, ultimately. But it's such an emotional game, and sometimes a guy does feel disrespected, and so he wants to rub it in their face a little bit. It's human nature. Like, I get it. In terms of the retaliation, I guess the Nationals must have felt pretty strongly that they were upset with Profar's, home run celebration or whatever on the walk-off. I don't know the specifics of that or if there's even more to that, but I don't know. It's such an emotional game. There's testosterone flying around. It's bound to happen at some point between two teams. It was just kind of interesting how it went down there in the first inning yesterday.
You feel like it's okay to throw it, guys? We talk about this all the time, and you're a guy that comes in. You're not coming in mop-up situations. You're coming in close situations. Do you feel like it's okay to throw it, guys? Because we talk about, AJ doesn't feel like it, but he's like, hey, I'll take a free base at any point.
Well, I've never thrown at a guy on purpose because, like you said, most of the time I can't afford that base runner. There has been times where I felt like we needed to send a message to the other team. I don't want to hurt anybody, but there are times where that's kind of the way it's been done in the past. You're trying to send a message to the other team, like in a kind of a mature way, hit them somewhere where it doesn't hurt, and you kind of just move forward. But I've never been in that spot, so I've never had to deal with that emotion, that anxiety of having to execute that plan. So I'm maybe not the best guy to ask, but in general, I don't don't love hitting guys. I mean, I feel like, especially as a pitcher, we don't have to go up there and hit anymore, so they can't kind of come at us. It's like a free shot, and then you're just kind of opening up your teammates for potential injury, and I don't like that part of it.
Yeah, and you can't hit somebody with a slider. So what's the point of you hitting somebody, right?
It's not like my fastball's really going to hurt
It's
anybody
slow.
at this point either. So
It's slow. That's all. It's really slow. I mean, you only hit like 95, so I guess that doesn't hurt anybody. So, hey, I want to ask you about last night's dinger by Judgy. You guys in the bullpen, take us through the emotion, not necessarily the home run, but like leading up to that, where you guys are winning 9-1. Do you sit there in the bullpen and like some guys kind of check out? Reed Garrett's maybe your de facto, not closer, but like meat of the order guy right now with Edwin down. Do you guys kind of check out and then have to recheck back in, or how does that go out there?
Well, I don't think you ever fully check out. You could be like partially checked out, like you're not locked in, the adrenaline's not pumping yet. But in a lot of ways, as a reliever, that kind of works to your benefit. You kind of want that adrenaline to hit, and then for you to be able to like warm up and go right in the game. Sometimes that's kind of the best spike you can get, rather than kind of like trying to hold that adrenaline feeling the whole game. Like you can't do it. So sometimes it's better for it to kind of come on suddenly. But, for me, I wasn't even in the bullpen last night. Unfortunately, I started off that inning and faced 3 guys and didn't do my job. So I was out of there, and I was watching it from the dugout, just hoping we could get some outs and keep them at bay. But Aaron's a strong guy. So even though he hit that ball, I think like 45 degrees or something, it still went out.
Otto, we had a thing with Danny Colon the other day about inherited runners. What's your stance on inherited runners and how important of a stat is? Because Kratz and I both said, you know what, we think it's a huge stat for relievers because, there's relievers that have good ERAs and they give up everyone, they torch everyone else's runs. And then as soon as their runner gets on third, they're like, oh, here's my nasty slider. Oh, here's my good split. So what's your thoughts on that as a bullpen guy?
For me, it's huge. For me, like David Robertson is a great example of maybe the best fireman the game's had the last 10 years. I mean, he's been in other roles, but he's the best guy at coming in and putting out fires. And I've always taken pride in that role when I'm given that opportunity. Nothing feels better than saving runs for your teammates and kind of coming in and saving the day. I do think the stat itself is a little weird because all the situations are different. Bases loaded, no outs is a different thing than man on second, 2 outs. You should be able to get that last out without that man scoring from second. But you come in bases loaded, no outs. Keeping them all off the board maybe is a little bit high of an expectation there. But I do think that's a huge part of the game, especially for the bullpen guys. And you got to take pride in that for sure.
I have to second that for you. The little bit that we played together, the little bit that I caught you, your stuff did not. I always felt like your stuff actually ticked up a little bit when there was other guys, runners on base. And it really stuck out to me. I'm glad AJ asked that question because it was almost like, hey, like where was it? Where was that same pitch like last inning when nobody was like somebody else's runs are out there? It almost like you even when we talked on the mound, it almost seemed like you were more focused. Is that true, or is it just is a bad read by me?
I think it's a good read. It's unfortunate that it's a good read because I'd like to be better with nobody on. But sometimes with nobody on, you're kind of like you get into this like weird mode where you're aggressive but not 100% aggressive. You're kind of easing your way in with those first 2 pitches. But when I come in a big spot, I've got no choice but to go into kill mode right away and to be super duper aggressive. And a lot of times that brings the best out of me. So yeah, I do think your intuition's right. I definitely get a little more, locked in for those moments. And I'm trying to do a better job of doing that all the time. But, it's an emotional game for sure.
Kill mode and super duper usually don't go together. So that was an interesting way to phrase it. Okay, so we talked about Grimace. We talked about Francisco Alvarez. But Francisco Lindor had a team meeting. And that's really when you guys – I know it coincides with Grimace and it coincides with Alvarez coming back. But was that the thing that got you guys going? And you don't have to divulge what was said, but did you say something? Did the whole team say something? Or was this just Lindor saying, let's freaking go, boys?
Yeah, Francisco's one of our big leaders on the team. After that game, that was a really tough game. He came over to my locker before the meeting, and he's like, I think it's a good time to have a players meeting. What do you think? And I said, yeah, I think if we're going to do it, now's the time. And he led off the meeting with some really wise words. And a lot of people spoke in that meeting. I spoke a little bit, but quite a few people spoke in that meeting. And overall, the message was just really positive, and we need to stay together, and we need to have a thing, it's just for us. And a lot came out of that. And you never know what's going to come out of it, but it was almost just like we snapped our fingers and started playing better the next day as a group. And all of a sudden we were having more fun and kind of let go of the burden of the past. And, Francisco had a really good pulse on that being the right time. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
All right, real quick here. Mendy, is he as good a manager as he was a bench coach?
Well, I mean, I only had him that 1 year in 2020 as a bench coach, so it's hard to totally understand everything that the bench coach was doing. But I do think he's done a really good job with this team. His message has been consistent. And I just got to give him a lot of credit. That's the most important thing as a manager, is just to be consistent. And he's had our backs pretty much the whole way. And you've seen the results. We are turning it around. We're right in the thick of this thing. And I think a lot of good things are in store for the Mets. So you got to give him credit for that.
It's fun, dude. National League wild card, and obviously there's some division leaders, but there are a lot of teams in the mix. So playoffs are very, very much an open race. So it's been fun to watch, dude. Good luck in the game tonight again against the Yanks. All eyes on it, especially in the New York City area. And we appreciate the time as always, Adam. Great having you on, dude.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Thank you, Adam Ottavino, one of the best interviews in baseball, joining us on FT. Be right back. All right, well, we're still here for the YouTube group, okay? So let's educate Trevor on AG1 right now. Kratz and AJ are on the road. They are a little bit lazy and sloppy like me, which is why they need travel packs to be able to kind of be organized. And I'm actually really proud of them. AJ has a little plastic bag with his AG1 packs. So anyone new to the party, AG1's a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support. It's backed by multiple research studies. You can trust what you're putting in your body. And did you guys have your AG1 this morning? Did you drink your AG1? Yes.
Of course.
Good
I
job.
drink mine. Yep.
Yeah. Drink it first thing
Good
when I
job.
wake up. Hold on.
All right.
On the way to the
AJ's gonna
game.
go.
On the way to the game today. AJ's reaching it. I don't think mine's within reach today. So
All good.
my empty
As we
sack
know,
is trash.
yes, as we know, testing your products is a big deal. Not only does AG1 test the product itself, they test the ingredients in isolation. They test their formula as a whole, the whole deal, okay, which is important, especially for the many baseball players that are listening and watching right now. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. It supports whole body health, and that's why FT is excited that they continue as a partner here. You can see the website right now and the code to use as well. So start your journey with AG1. Get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and get 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/foul. That's drinkag1.com/FOUL. Go check it out, FT fam. And let's go back to AJ. Did you come back? Do you have show and tell? There you go. Good job.
Remember the other day I had 6. Now I'm down to 4. So
It's working.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Boom. There you go. Trevor, did you learn a lot?
With all the
I learned a
stuff-
lot. It is delicious. I have drank it quite a few times in my life as well. Full
There you
disclosure.
go.
I don't know
That's
about
great.
delicious. I don't know if delicious is the right way to describe the taste of
I
it.
disagree.
Okay, well, you guys
Compared
you like
to
beets.
other-
You probably like beets.
Compared
too,
to
don't
other products that are the same, it is by far. Other products you will drink it and you'll be like, AG1 does a really, really good job of making the flavor very nice.
you? Yeah, but delicious is not where I would go. It tastes good, but delicious is not like the exact way to describe it. It's good to drink and it's not horrible.
That's why we do this on FT. It's always real talk. Be right back. Better than box scores. Let's talk through Yankees Mets. We did that with Ottavino, but Trevor, I'm going to start with you because all eyes on Gerrit Cole. First start, good results. You know, if you're looking at the pitches, I can get your thoughts on what you saw from him in that first go round. This second start was really interesting, as we mentioned. I mean, you know, the velo was there in the first. He said he dialed it back in the second. He got smashed. 3 out of the 4 home runs were off the fastball. He didn't strike anyone out. He wasn't getting whiffs on his heater. So A, what did you see? And B, should there be any percentage of concern about the health of his arm based on those results? Or do you think it was, you know, just a performance thing? The reason I ask that is we do have guys come back from elbow issues where there wasn't surgery. And I know every elbow is different, but I do always get concerned about the Kyle Bradish situation because we've seen it happen a billion times.
So there's something interesting. Gerrit Cole's a gamer. I think we know that from his comments in the past, how he wants to take the ball in game one. For him to say I'm taking the foot off the gas doesn't really line up too well for me. He was airmailing fastballs, like missing egregiously up, and that would, there could have been something mechanically going on where he's like, you know what, I'm gonna stop trying to muscle this thing and just kind of let it go whenever it happens. And it's not like it went from 97 to 90, but kind of leaned on the cutter a little bit more than I thought he would, which was a little bit weird. I think that's something he's trying to do to lefties a little bit more, go up and in, and it just wasn't getting there very, very much. So yeah, there's probably a little bit like he doesn't feel 100, like he doesn't feel the best he's ever felt. I think that's pretty clear. So there could be a little bit of like subconsciously trying to protect yourself a little bit. But whether or not it's a concern, he threw the amount of pitches he wanted to get to. He was on a pitch limit. He got there. He didn't come out early. He wasn't shaking his arm, and he wasn't doing like some of the stuff you can't avoid doing if your arm hurts. Basically, it's really hard to hide it if it's bugging you. So that gives me a little bit of quite makes me feel a little bit better about it. But he went a really long time without being hurt at all and throwing lots and lots of innings. So this is a little bit of uncharted territory for him too. He's rusty. We were seeing how, Blake Snell and a lot of these guys are taking a little bit of time, who've been around for a while, a little bit more time to get knock the rust off. So I think it was mostly that, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's like not injury, but not quite where he wants it to. He does not quite what it wants it to feel like. That wouldn't surprise me.
Is it different because Cole's injury, other guys' injury, it's like, oh, they come out and it's like, oh, flex or something, they feel it. And Cole's he never felt it when he was pitching in spring training, but then he wasn't recovering the way he wanted to, and he was feeling the pain in his elbow. Is that different? Have you ever had both sides of that?
Yeah, definitely. It felt where it was like a soreness issue, to where you felt like you were working harder, but it wasn't necessarily hurting. Like you were still getting everything you wanted after it, but you knew you were going to be more sore than normal, and that gives you pause because it usually means you're using something or working some muscle that something's compensating for something else, which then could be a long-term issue, and you want to avoid that if you can. So he's just smart. I think he's smart, and he knows his body really well, and he's felt things this year that he hasn't felt really for this long before, and so he's really, really trying to have abundance of caution because like you said, there's guys who are like, oh, my elbow will bother me. And then they try to come back 2 months later, like, oh, my elbow still bother me. And then, 6 months later, they finally, get a surgery or get it done. And I think he's trying to make sure that he knows exactly what's going on and then reacts accordingly out on the mound. So he doesn't just hurt himself because he's trying to force himself to be an old version of himself that he isn't right now. And if that's what's going on, which, I mean, maybe he's just like the only guy in the league that has the confidence to do that, which would not surprise me either. He's Gerrit Cole. I think it's for the best, though. I think he's going to figure it out. And the fact that he ran one up there at 98 at one said it's there. It's not like it's not there. So,
okay. So then another layer to this game was Gleyber Torres late in the action. Not running out a ground ball. After the game said he, is dealing with a groin issue. We buying that? We okay with that? This pops up every once in a while. Actually, AJ has popped up with the Yankees quite a bit over the past 20 years. Robinson Cano always used to get crap for how he played the game from certain people, but the numbers were there. Obviously, eventually, the PEDs were a thing. But anyway, your thoughts on Gleyber here? We're showing it, weak ground ball to short. And if you look, like the ball, was heading over to Lindor's way, a pretty slow pace. I know Lindor's got a clock and, maybe he's paying attention to the runner, but like there was a chance that Gleyber could have been close there, no?
Listen, Scott, and I think Kratz will agree with me. Nobody can run every ball 100%. Nobody. I know Bryce Harper said, I'm going to run every ball out 100%. Nobody can do it. It's physically impossible. It's just mentally impossible. And listen, I'm not getting on Gleyber here. Could he have ran a little bit harder? Sure. Would he have still been out because Francisco Lindor would have hurried it up a little bit more? Absolutely. So whether his groin, his hamstrings, whatever is sore on him are sore or not, I mean, Aaron Boone should know that, though. That's the thing that is intriguing about this is the managers get like a training room report before every game, and they say, okay, well, who's sore, who's this, who's that, boom, boom, what are they dealing with, where's the rehab at? So maybe Gleyber didn't tell anybody. I don't know, but that was interesting to me is that Aaron Boone was like, I don't know about that. We just got to get him going. And listen, Gleyber kind of goes up and down with how he's hitting, and he's kind of hasn't been great this year. So, but again, I'm not blaming Gleyber because, listen, I didn't run every ball out. I try to run as best you can, but a lot of times, listen, you run 70, 80%, you're dealing with something, or you're just tired. You can just be tired. There's days where you're just tired. So, listen, if he's hurt, he's hurt, but they need to figure this out, and Aaron Boone should have known this before the game.
There's a way to stay on the field. The team feels like Gleyber Torres is their best option, even at 70 to 80% running a routine ground ball out to Francisco Lindor, a Gold Glover. So there's times that you have to stay on the field. We talk about it all the time with Giancarlo Stanton and the speed that he's running. He tweaks something. Did he do something out of the ordinary when he ran like that? That's what Gleyber's trying to stay away from. Other sports are going to be like, what? How on earth an NHL Stanley Cup just finished? Dudes are getting they have broken kneecaps or broken ankles that they're playing with. I get it. The difference is these guys are going out there 162 games, and the value for Gleyber Torres is not beating out an infield single. The value for Gleyber Torres is driving doubles to the right center gap, unless it's in Yankee Stadium, then they're homers, and getting his batting average up. So is his groin tight? Who knows what happened? Only he can answer that, but no, we can't get on him for not running this out.
Yeah, at the end of the day in Major League Baseball, man, injuries don't exist if you're the only one that know about them. But the other side of that coin is, you say something sometimes that causes more issues than it can be. So guys are constantly flip-flopping on these things if they have some little nagging thing, right? And most guys are going to choose play through it. Sometimes that's what playing through it looks like, where you're sacrificing one part of your game just to give the value in the other places that are probably your better strengths anyways. And it just comes down to perception at this point. Yankees fans and aren't real happy with how things have been playing lately, and it's just one of those things. It's just more noticeable in situations like that. So, but I don't blame him at all either. Watch any game and watch how many guys are sprinting through, especially like you said, Francisco Lindor, who has been great over there at short this year and is every year. So it's I don't know, this just ain't worth it. I'm not going to tear this thing trying to be out by 2 steps instead of 4.
Right. And right now, and there's Boone on considering benching Gleyber when he was asked after the game, quote, we need him to go. We need him to get going, especially through this stretch. We need him to be a presence in the middle of our lineup. We've got to get that out of him. I mean, to me, that's the other layer of the story. Things get enhanced in certain markets. They get even more enhanced if fans are frustrated with the play of that particular player. Gleyber Torres is having a down year at the plate. They asked him even again yesterday, wait, what's wrong? He's like, everything. It's just not good, right? I'm not as good defensively. I'm not as good at the plate this year. So that hurts too. He's maybe pressing a little bit, feeling the free agent grind. You often see that. Some players rise to the occasion. Others feel the heat. It's a different year for him because this is the year where you can really get paid after the season. So Yankee fans are pissed about really their infield in general right now. The infield production as a whole has not been good. Volpe's had a nice sophomore season, but besides that, infield's been a problem, right? Rizzo wasn't good. Then he hit the IL. Third base is still a question mark. DJ LeMahieu has, no extra base hit power anymore, so we'll see what happens with the Yanks. There are flaws. Shocker.
How come this? Let me ask this. Did you see the LeMahieu play yesterday? Nobody. I mean, people a little bit were getting on him, but I mean, I've never seen a big league third baseman just like whiff. He just whiffed on a ball going about 12 miles an hour, and then it led to an extra base. And how come no one's questioning? And again, I'm never going to question anyone's effort, but if we're going to get on Glaber here, I mean, that was kind of egregious too. I mean, this is the big leagues. You get paid to catch the ball. If Trevor May's out there chucking it, and that ball goes down the line instead of an infield hit, it's a double, and that run scores. He's like, dude, what's going on over there?
Yeah, you might get Mackenzie Gord in the dugout. We'll send
Mackenzie
Salvers.
Gord's had a week, by the way. He's had a week.
Yeah, he has. That is true. We like it. All right, we'll be right back. Things to look forward to. We're going to do some fan question and answers, and also Vladdy Jr. now is okay with New York City. Interesting.
I want to talk about Pete Alonso a little bit while we're on the Mets. He's a guy that I feel like should be signed a long-term deal. This is a guy that's New York through and through, talking about the Mets. He's a guy that's done a lot for the city. He helps out a lot of people. And lo and behold, he's a really good hitter. He's a good power hitter too as well, and he's grown to become one of the best hitters in baseball. What is the consensus with that? What's been going on? Have there been any talks, or and it's just something that we'll play it by ear and see how it goes at the end of this year?
Yeah, I don't have any insight into what their thinking is now with David Stearns in charge and other people that have kind of changed, left their organization, or there's new people in the organization since I left. So I can't really speak to where they're at with that. But, the one issue that I think is a challenge that seems to be an industry challenge is, everyone wants to kind of look at the first base market rather than kind of almost treat it like arbitration at times, where it's like, well, how can we justify giving him this amount of money, whether it's him, whether it's, my other former employer, the Red Sox, talking about Tristan Casas extension. I think that sometimes trips people up is that they start getting a little bit laser focused on this positional market, and to say that, that's not where the huge deals are going. They're going to players that can make more of a defensive impact, whether that's shortstops or outfielders. And so, that's a real thing. I understand it, but at the same time, that's kind of a false construct, right? You don't want to limit yourself to just thinking of it that way. I think a team needs to think about it as how this individual player fits into, the way they plan on building a roster going forward. And so that doesn't mean you have to stick to this. Obviously, teams are trying to get the best deals that they can get. But yeah, Pete's a great player. He's an impact power guy. I love the guy. I think he's, and we definitely had some moments. He's an emotional guy, and I made some decisions he wasn't happy with at times, and he'd tell me about it, and I always appreciated that. Never shied away from that. And I love that. I love the passion he has for his teammates, for winning, for the city of New York. I think it's great.
Hey, we're back on FT, and it's our first week on Bally Sports as well, on the app and on television, but also still running everything on socials. It's Ask May time for the first time, but also Kratz and AJ, you can't step aside. You're going to be involved in this too. Some of these questions were directed to everyone. Trevor, you made a face. Did you not like that we put you in a Mets uni? What's the deal?
No, I was just wondering, like the font you just used, what was that? Like the Emperor's New Groove font? That just took me. I didn't know where that came from. I was not expecting that.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry.
Thank you, Walt Disney, for your font. We appreciate that. Okay, so I've got like 5 or 6 questions that I took from YouTube, from Twitter, from Instagram, and we'll just run through as many as we can right now. I know there's some coming through the YouTube chat live as well. So let's start with XRIS on YouTube. Yes, I see some of those comments after the show runs as well. Great show, guys. Thank you for the content. One question as a fan of the Moneyball movie. Why Oakland should trade Mason Miller? How are they going to be good at some point, at some season in the future, if they trade away their stars? And I'll add to this. I mean, Mason Miller is under team control for a long time. I think he can't be a free agent until after 2029. Let's start with former Mason Miller teammate Trevor May. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's a big one. You got to keep somebody. Like, he was a prospect 5 minutes ago. So as soon as they like have success in the big leagues, you trade them immediately. Like, at one point, is your team going to see any of those fruits of their development labor? So at some point, you got to have a young guy come and be the guy. That team's so young, there's just no reason to do it unless it's a crazy big haul. I think you have to guarantee that you win that trade, because no matter what you get, the impact isn't going to be immediate probably. And but I will also say this: I was there for a whole year. We played 162 games, and it was hard to tell at times what the long-term plan was, simply because of the nature of the move and the situation there, and truly what the owner wants. Like, it's hard to tell what he wants out of the team at times, and the people below him, it's hard to make decisions and like have a game plan when that's the case. So like, I didn't get traded at the deadline. I thought that was like the easiest thing ever to do, but it's probably because nobody wanted me. I'm guessing that's probably why. So Mason's he's a star. He's electric. He's got the best stuff, in my opinion, in the major leagues. And but there's still there might be hope that starting or a lot more innings is possibly in his future, because like we said, he is young, but with if it ain't broke, don't fix it, in my opinion. But yeah, it's one of those situations. I would say you have to get a lot for him, and there might be a lot of buyers. So this could be the year he gets a lot. They get a lot for him, but I think that's the only way that it should happen. I think a guy like Paul Blackburn is maybe a bigger pickup for a team, because he's veteran and could fill in a 5 spot or something. So, but Mason, yeah, he's got to bring a big haul.
Does he get traded though? That's it. Yes or no?
I don't think so. I don't think he gets traded. Not in the middle of the season.
That wasn't
I think they're an off-season trade team. But it's so hard because there's so many teams that might be buyers and might just sell. So they're one of the few ones that is a seller. But I don't think he does. I don't think they get enough for him.
Who was it that asked the question? That's all I want to know. And why were you watching that terrible movie Moneyball? Wait, what? Maybe I should call it the false movie Moneyball, because it's such a false narrative of what they do in that movie. I know it's Hollywood, but they make it such a false narrative. And by the way, last time I was I did an Anaheim game with Ron Washington. My partner Aaron Goldsmith brought that up to Wash, and he's like, "Man, why the hell you got to bring that up? You know it's going to piss him off. Why you got to ask him that question in front of him?"
AJ is like the number one Moneyball hater, which I agree with, dude. I mean, it's kind of in two ways. One, it was false in terms of what they were putting out there. Like, hi, Mulder, Zito, Hudson, pretty good big three. And two,
Chavez,
I do think
Tejada was MVP that year.
Really, Koch, ever hear of these guys?
No. Actually, no. It was Scott Hatteberg getting on base a little bit more and playing first. That's the whole key to
Chris
winning.
Pratt looks like him, so you got to go with that, man. There is one part of the movie that's very accurate.
What?
One part, and that is Billy Beane is constantly eating. That's a real
Really?
thing. Yes. The guys told me immediately that he's always eating and he's always crumbs. Billy Beane, messy
Brad
eater.
Pitt
I didn't know that. And Brad Pitt's like, say less. I'm the best guy at eating on camera ever. So let's do this.
Seriously.
Give me some potato chips. Let's go.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. All right, good for. Do you appreciate? Or this was on YouTube, but also appreciate having a segment or an interview discussing the complexities of pitching and different baseballs thrown. I think the audience lacks knowledge in that area and would appreciate the help. I mean, that sounds like a pitcher question to me. It's kind of loaded, but you want to give us a little Cliff Notes TV version?
Yeah, let me load up my Google Doc real quick. So complexities. So I'm interested. The different balls thrown. I think we're talking about pitches.
That would be my guess. I mean, there are different baseballs every year too, which is a whole other.
Different baseballs, different rubbed up baseballs, different. Are we talking about the sticky stuff thing again? honestly, it's complex. I think at some point as a pitcher, it stops being super complex. It becomes being something that that it becomes part of, like, it's almost like having another limb, like manipulating the baseball. It becomes so natural to you that it's just something that you can do for years and years and years after, even after your arm gives out, right? Like right now I can grab a ball and know exactly how I would want to manipulate it to try to get a pitch to move. And once you get a certain understanding, you do it thousands and thousands of times. And I think the big thing that's happening with pitching now is guys are able to build that so fast to where they find something comfortable, and as soon as it's comfortable, you're so used to finding a sweet spot or a good place or a good way you want to throw a pitch, knowing what that feels like, and the fact that you can do it so quickly. Now we're seeing guys go back to having 6 to 8 pitches, so that really is indicative of why pitching's so good right now. And it comes down to how you put pressure on a ball with your fingers, and over time you develop strength in ways that, you know, the people out there that don't throw baseballs for a living like to have no context for, and there's really nothing comparable to it except for maybe hitting. Same way with like a bat, like, you know how your bat's weighted immediately from picking it up, and anyone else does that, they would have no idea what you're talking about. It's just the nature of the game and the number of repetitions you have. So I think there's a lot we can do with this. I think going into each pitch and talking about it and like when you use it and how you make those decisions, but it definitely becomes like you play so much and you're thinking about it so much that it becomes so second nature that you can't remember not knowing the stuff that you know, and feeling the things that you feel. So now that I'm out of baseball, that's one big thing that I'm missing, is like that tinkering, grabbing a ball and trying to figure out how I can get some effect that I'm looking for. It was one of my favorite things about playing, and that is those guys, the guys that love that and the guys that are good at that, you're seeing them become the stars in the league right now because of the way that pitch design works.
Yeah, well said. And also I can offer this for more time on it. Trevor's got a YouTube channel. He's got socials. He goes over a lot of this stuff, you know, more specifically when he has lots and lots of time and lots of edits to do as well to make it nice and quick for the low attention span. So let's get to Kevin here. Another question from YouTube said, hey, FT, I think this was Instagram actually. Longtime fan, question for Ken and the guys. Sorry, no Ken today, but I think the guys will have good answers here. Do you think the league would ever consider adding 2 veteran-only spots for every team? 1 position player, 1 pitcher. The idea from Kevin here is that the spots would be for veterans. It would set a league minimum salary that won't be counted against the luxury tax. This would allow teams to keep vets on the club and offer flexibility when guys go down without taking roster spots away from young guys. Just wondering your thoughts. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Bring in AJ and Kratz because we'll let them jump here first to give Trevor a breath. AJ, you want to kick this off? Do you want a nice little veteran spot?
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Sorry, Kevin.
I'm sorry, Kevin, but they're just going to how we pick through the veteran is like, I want a job for $750,000 where I don't have to do anything. Yeah, put me on the bench. I'll sit there every day and do nothing and cheer the guys on and be a great clubhouse guy. I don't know how you would manage this. What's the cutoff? 6 years, 10 years, 8 years, 9 years? I mean, how do you pick who, and do they have to have played for that team before? I mean, there's so many variables. I think, you know, the 26-man roster is good enough. And if a veteran's good enough to be on a team will sign him and they'll keep him around. But yeah, to add 2 more spots for veteran guys, I mean, yeah, sure. Sign me up. I haven't retired yet. I'll take that job.
Yeah. First of all, MLB teams will never increase the rosters. It took forever to get to 26. They will not. That's another this year, $720,000 that they have to pay another guy, let alone a guy that doesn't play that much. And C, you just explained my entire career, AJ. So I think we had this spot. I was definitely that guy. So Kevin knew it. Kevin watched my career. He must be a huge fan of mine.
Also, I mean, there are coaches for this, and, you know, they can provide that, you know, veteran presence or leadership. I know it's not a player on the team, but also I think Kevin might have been trying to say, you know, some vets get squeezed out right now, which is another category, right? We go over players like we talked to Adam Lind. We've brought up Brandon Belt's name a lot. Guys that have been still effective big leaguers that for some reason are getting pushed because, you know, teams are like, I don't want to pay you a few $1 million. They could just give a young dude a shot and he costs less. I mean, that's my guess in terms of where his brain's going.
Look at what Jackson Profar's getting paid. I'm sure Brandon Belt could have played for $1 million. Jerks and Profar signed a $1 million deal, and I don't know how much incentives he had either. I remember seeing it, and it was just barely above the league minimum, his deal. And if teams are okay, not having Brandon Belt on their team, I'm pretty sure there's some first base spots that are having no production that would love a Brandon Belt right now, then they're okay just saying, hey, you know what? Here's $1 million. You can have it. Take it or leave it. And look, Jerks and Profar's going to be in the All-Star game because he took it.
And I will say, I mean, there were many people that thought Profar shouldn't even be in the league anymore based on, his negative WAR number and stuff like that last year. You got to give guys a shot. So, yeah, it's interesting. All right, we have more, but we'll get to them either another time or if we have time later in the show. We'll swing back and go over the change in the AL West race, perhaps. The Astros on a heater, thanks at least partly to one dude.
Yeah, the Astros are swinging.
Yeah, they are swinging it. Oh, we're staying here for a moment? We're staying here. We're still going here right now. All right. Let's go over the NASCAR race for a moment, please. That's all you, AJ. Now where are we at? The 26th of June. And this is occurring in about a week and a half. Get your tickets now at NASCARChicago.com. But also the reason that we're saying this is because FT is just going to join another sport for a day. And that is on July 6th and 7th. We specifically will do our show on July 7th with AJ and Jason Kipnis and Alana Rizzo running point. AJ, are you mentally prepared and potentially going to do anything daring there? Like, I don't know, get in a car.
I would love for them to let me drive the pace car or ride around in a car for a couple minutes, but I don't know that's going to happen. We're going to have to count on you, Scott, to get that done. But I'm looking forward to it. Listen, anytime I get to go to Chicago in the summer, it's a good day for me. And, I'm just going to be coming in quick and in and out, but I am looking forward to this. I was in town for this race last year, did not get to go because of the rain. It rained and it was kind of a funky schedule. So I did not get to go, but this year I will definitely get to go, and I cannot wait to see it because I'm a NASCAR fan. I'm a Chicago fan, and I think combined it's a pretty good deal.
Trevor, have you ever been to a NASCAR race? I haven't said this on the show yet, but I have. I went to Homestead in Miami, the championships years ago, and it was cool. It was loud, but it was cool.
I haven't, but I got friends that live in Indianapolis, and they said they went to the Indianapolis 500 this year was awesome. They had They had the show in the the infield or in the middle going during the race, like a big electronic music festival. So it was like quite the two different cultures, but like everyone was just having a blast. It was really, really cool. So that sounds sick to me. I like that. So that sounds like a lot of noise, though. That is probably the loudest place on the planet if both those things are going at the same time.
Yeah, and that's going to happen here. Keith Urban, Chainsmokers will be there, Black Keys, and many more. So again, don't miss the event. Get your tickets now at NASCARChicago.com. So coming up next, Vladdy Jr. is okay with being a Yankee now. I know, weird. We'll discuss.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
We're going to talk a lot of Blue Jays over the next month. That's a promise. This team lost 7 in a row. They snapped it yesterday by taking down Brian Bayo and the Boston Red Sox. But the storyline over the past couple days in Toronto, at least one of them, in addition to them potentially being big sellers, according to Ken Rosenthal, is Vladdy Jr. backtracking on his words, because if you look at the past 2 years of his talks about the New York Yankees, he essentially has said that he hates them, he hates their guts, he would never play for them. And I'm trying to look at the specifics, like even, here it is. Said he wouldn't play for the Yankees even when he's dead. which I don't even know how you do that, but he wouldn't do it, okay? And he doubled down on that last year in April. Fast forward to this week, and he was asked about it just to make sure that he was, still in the same range here of hating the Yanks as he's approaching free agency and Toronto's kind of crumbling. Quote, I'm a worker, professional, and I go out on the field and play. Sometimes you say things. It's not that I'm trying to take back what I said about the Yankees. What I do say, I don't hold back what I said about the Yankees, but this is a business. I sat down and spoke with my dad and my family, and this is a business. Like I tell you, I'm a player, and if a team picks me or if they do something, it's because they need it, obviously, and I'll be happy to help any team. But right now, I'm just focused on helping my team try to get out of this bad streak. That sounds very different, AJ, from saying, nah, still hit the Yankees, never would play for them. They could offer me $1 trillion, and I would say no.
Who's his agent?
Don't know, but I can find out. Why?
Because Manifesto Sports Management, it looks like. His agent got to him and said, we want the Yankees to bid on you when you become a free agent. So take that back in the most nicest way possible, because we need all 30 teams to want you. So by coming out and saying you're never going to play for them, that takes away a big market that could possibly be interested. So change your tune, Vlad Jr., because in this year you have your agent, and then what goes in this year comes right out here because he wants all 30 teams to bid on him.
Well, Kratz, why did he say it in the first place then? Wouldn't the agent have gotten to him the first time or the second time around?
You're young. You say things. You go into New York. If I remember right, all those quotes, he was saying them when he was coming into New York. And I think there was a little bit of a tiff. His dad, I think, wanted to be traded or was traded, didn't want to be traded, wanted to sign whatever with the Yankees, and they didn't sign him. So it was kind of like, he was young. He was saying stuff. Who cares? But now, all of a sudden, free agency is real. And they don't have a first baseman right now. Just saying.
You're saying the Yankees don't have a first baseman, right?
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Funny.
I think he was just saying it. You're supposed to hate the Yankees when you're on the Blue Jays. Like I think he's just like trying to rile everybody up. And he's young. And it's smart. You take that. You Homer Simpson back into the hedge. I would definitely do that too, because you don't want to burn any bridges before potentially a team can pay you. And the Yankees are pretty good, and the Blue Jays aren't as good. So maybe there's a little bit of like, it'd be nice to go out there and maybe win a World Series too. That'd be nice.
Give me a little player perspective. So if you see this storyline play out over the last few years, Trevor, do you just get a chuckle out of it? Do you maybe even go up to Vladdy and be like, hey, dude, Yankees called. Like they're kind of interested now. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I grew up in Washington, right? The Yankees have eliminated the Mariners from every single postseason they've ever been in besides the last one. So like, we have a certain they're the evil empire to us. But if a kid grew up here, got to the major leagues, was like, I'm not going to play for the Yankees because they beat us in 2001. Like that's just like, so, I get it saying it in jest, which it was mostly in jest. But maybe he, at that point, he thought he was going to be a lifelong, Blue Jay and have that 10-year contract and stuff. And maybe it's not going to happen that way. And it's a good business decision to do that. And, talk trash and then own it later. That's what I would say. Just as long as you own it. If you Josh Naylor it, you rock the baby, then you lose the series and you say, I thought it was going to help. It didn't work. And I loved it. Like, then you move on. It's got to be one of those situations. I think nobody has a ill word to say if you just be like, yeah, you know what? I said that. And now I think something else.
That's a good call. A couple years ago, everyone's like, yeah, Vladdy, I mean, he's a stud. He's probably going to be a Blue Jay for life. They're going to sign him long term. I don't know if that's going to happen now. He's probably seeing those indications start to pop up. It sounds good originally. And now I will say on the other side, if you're a Yankees fan, because many Yankee fans clap back at him at the time, they're going, okay, we would take Vladdy at first base this year or in the future. So, everyone's friends now. It's okay. It's just words. They can get taken back and they just work. All right. Lastly here for That's What He Said. Rowdy Tellez stole a base. O'Neill Cruz was asked post-game if he thought that Rowdy could take him in a race. And this is from Alex Stumpf giving us the quotes. And Cruz said, maybe if I'm running backwards. Do you think that actually Rowdy could take O'Neill Cruz forwards if Cruz is running backwards? Anyone have thoughts? Kratz, what do you think?
Yes. Rowdy's got him. Rowdy's got him running backwards. If Cruz is running backwards,
Agree.
Rowdy's got him.
I agree, 100%.
I don't think he'll even beat him then. And you tell Rowdy I said that. Did Rowdy, when he got the stolen base, did he go Ricky Henderson and hold the base above his head and say, "I am the greatest of all time"?
There was no throw.
That's what I'm saying. So I thought Rowdy would have picked up the base and said,
100%.
like Ricky did when he broke the record. He got the mic and was like, today, I am the greatest of all time.
If he comes back on the show, he'll probably say it, and he'll probably ask you how many stolen bases you had and blah, blah, blah. All that.
More than he does.
Do you know how many? How many do you have?
I don't know how many, but I know it's more than one.
Like a ballpark.
I'm going to say you have
double figures, 15-ish?
17, I'm going to say. Just guessing.
Okay. I mean, I got to look it up, but it's not many. Rowdy has 4 stolen bases in his career.
Yeah, there's no way you have less than that.
Yeah.
15.
I have one.
AJ.
I have one.
How many did I say? 15. I said 15.
Yeah, you did.
How many was it?
What are your numbers?
15.
15.
Rowdy's got a long way to go.
He does. But good call. Okay, so we're going to break again in a moment, and we'll have our next guest joining us. Excited to talk to Griffin Jax. You played with him, right, Trevor? Or he was in the league with you, or no?
He took my spot. We
Yes!
swapped.
Yes. I love it.
So
Griffin Jackson, a couple minutes. And right now for the dudes, we got a new little partnership running with Manscapped. You know how scary it can get when you're going for that close shave below the belt. So they've got you hooked up for those sensitive areas. Their newest package is the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, including the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Also recommend you flipping back to yesterday's show if you want to see the products like Vanna White style from Top Father. I just like emptied out the entire bag and he was just showing each one off. He even like turned the razors on. It was great. It got a little worrisome when he turned the razors on. I was concerned for myself. I backed up a little bit. Thought he was going to try to trim my nose hairs, but we're good. Anyway, the 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads. A standard one for taking a little off the top. Then you've got the new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. And also has the dual LED spotlights to provide contrast on multiple skin tones, 3 length setting combs, and perhaps best of all, it is waterproof. Beach, lake, shower, whatever. The razor will get the job done. And they threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 5.0. The one we're talking about has boxers. It has a shed travel bag and a new buff bundle, which includes their signature silicone scrubber and their body wash. So no loofah action. Okay. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. It's 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use promo code FOUL20, FOUL20. It's summertime and the trimming is easy. I was doing the podcast version of this and apparently noticed that I've been saying 20 a lot. So I'm working on my 20. I was saying 20 a lot. 20.
How now, brown cow?
20 and 50. 20, 50, 50.
20 sounds right to me. I don't.
20?
I say 20. I say
Right?
20.
No, there's no N.
Yeah.
There's no N.
Who says 20? Nobody. What are you talking about?
Thank you.
That does now.
Well, now I don't know
guess
what
I'll
to do.
that too.
AJ, 20 or 20?
20.
And we have 20 seconds. 20?
20. You have $20.
See, that's an N.
Uh-oh. What's happening?
I'm going to ask Griffin Jax about this. What's up? Back on FT and our first week on Valley Sports TV and on the app, and still running FT on YouTube and everywhere else on socials. While we wait for Griffin Jax from the Minnesota Twins to join us, okay, I'll get one question in there for Trevor if I can, because we still have a bunch of extras. So what's a fun opposing stadium bullpen to be in, or a unique bullpen experience in a certain stadium? And actually, we can ask this to Griffin too.
I love Yankee Stadium. I love dodging chicken tenders in Yankee Stadium. That's always fun. Close second is the 75 stairs to walk to the top in Cleveland. But in all seriousness, I actually was a big fan of Truist. There was something about Atlanta. I think it was also like just the feeling and like the rivalry and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, coming out like when they turn the lights down and they try to like give you the chop, not the chop on the relievers. That whole experience was really, really cool. So I liked where it's positioned. And then I have a soft spot. Obviously, I'm a homer for the Mariners. But if you don't like fans being all up in your biz, maybe the Seattle's not the best place, because you're basically like in their living room. So, but I always liked how well you could see there too. Like we can actually see the game, as opposed to like in like Washington Nationals, they put the advertisement right in front of the bench back there, so you can't see the game. So you have to like stand up and go stand next to the fence, which sucks. So I'll put them at the bottom.
What about Boston? What about Boston, where you like if you have a long backswing with your arm, somebody could grab the ball out of your hand as you're warming up? I always thought that was pretty cool.
Boston is so weird. Like the only reason that Boston wasn't my favorite is because I'm taking up so much space that it's uncomfortable for me and everyone else around me. And then you got a bunch of big dudes. Like when I was with the Mets, we were all like 6'8". Like it was just, we were all too big to be out there. But it's weird. I never had the experience of fans just getting on me warming up there, because I was like, it was the Mets and the Twins and like we were just never a riot. Like the Boston fans just didn't care about the teams I was on at that time. So I didn't get the heckling. Everyone said it's so hard to play there, and I never got the heckling like I did in Yankee Stadium, which I'm sad about now, because I love Fenway. I loved going there even with all the, it's tiny, but it's just so unique and fun to play there.
Yeah, and you got to head to the bullpen and just catch the chicken tendies and just eat a few and just show them what's up. But I love that. Also, by the way, in DC,
that's not a joke.
Exactly. In DC, the broadcasters can't see either. They put us in heaven. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Really? Trust me, it's the worst place to call a game. All right, let's bring in our next guest. It is Griffin Jax from the Minnesota Twins. Got a lot to get to with Griffin. Let's bring him home right now. Griffin, great to have you on. We're going to start actually with a couple of the combos that we were having, if we can. We appreciate the time. A fun opposing stadium bullpen to be in. And by fun, it could be an answer like Trevor saying chicken tendies are thrown at him at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia is kind of insane. They got a gnarly fan base, especially recently. And, we were there, I think, last year, middle of the week in July, on a Wednesday night, and these 6-year-old girls are just giving it to me, and they're saying some pretty nasty stuff. So that place was insane.
Kratz, they teach them at a young age to really bring your heckle game to Philadelphia.
It's another level up there, because they're right on top of you there, and they surround you, and the security guards like, hey, stop saying things to him.
He doesn't care.
That's all they're doing. And playoffs is even worse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so next up here, Trevor gave us a sneak peek of the interesting connection that you have with one of our FT hosts. Would you like to describe it? And then, Trevor, you can help fill in the blanks.
Sure. You're me. You're the me. You took my spot. And you were number 65 when I left. So he even took my number.
65. Yeah, that's right.
And then started for a bit, and they're like, "Hey, let's see what you got out in the pen." And he's like, "Oh, I got 98 out in the pen." They're like, "That's cool. Try throwing a slider like this thing and 8-9 mile hour sweeper." Sure. And now we got 8th inning, and we're doing the do. I am a little bit disappointed that you changed the number, though. I wanted this to be a. You got to have your own identity. I get it. But I felt a connection, and then we lost it a little bit.
No, that's fair.
And just full disclosure, you were my request for the show, so I want all the credit here because I'm so fascinated by your journey being a starter and then going out and being a reliever. We're seeing guys do this, all over the league. Got Mason Miller this year, Luke Weaver. What he's doing is really impressive. So, question one: what do you think was the thing that was easiest for you in that transition? What do you think was the most natural part about transitioning into be a reliever?
Just being on the rotation, or being in the rotation, you have that pretty solid routine. And I hated it. I hated having something specific to do every single day when I came to the field. So I think the best part about going to the bullpen was there's no routine. You just show up every single day ready to pitch.
That's cool.
Love it. I love that so much. That is I'm the same. I told you, you're me. So I got to follow up real quick. You were with Wes Johnson for a little bit, right? And then Pete Mackey since. And I was there with both those guys as well. Pete was our bullpen coach at the time. What's the biggest thing? Give me like one big thing that either Wes or Pete has given you that you think has kind of helped you develop into the pitcher you are right now.
Yeah, I mean they're two separate pitching coaches. Wes was more of the bulldog mentality, just get the job done. He didn't care how you did it as long as you did it. And Pete's more, methodical, thought process, analytical based. So I like to take parts from both of them. Wes being the competitor on the mound, Pete being more like, how do we dive into getting this guy out and putting the odds back in our favor? So I like to think that we do a little bit of both, and you need a little bit of both, especially in today's game. So definitely learned a lot from both of them.
I like it. All right, I'm going to take you back to it's troubling times, but Twins-Yankees series. Do you feel like there's actually something, on this org? And can you describe what that is? Because I know that, Minnesota had a tough time with the Yanks in the regular season series this year, and you're smiling. So do you guys talk about it? Because it goes back so far, especially, playoff wise, that, most of your teammates probably maybe weren't even born, honestly. But your thoughts?
I mean, I wouldn't even say it's really acknowledged in the clubhouse. Everybody knows what's going on. It's kind of the same thing with our playoff streak last year. Like that was the first question everybody, grilled us on with the media when we showed up to play the Blue Jays in the wild card. They're like, are you guys aware of the 20-something game losing streak you guys have had in the playoffs? And again, a lot of us weren't either born or hadn't been playing in the pros since the time that had been started. So it's just a piece of information, I guess. They're a very good organization. They do things right. I think it's just a little bit of luck and a coincidence that they're doing this against us, but we'll see. The next time we play them will probably be in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what that matchup's like.
What did you see from them this year? Because I want to reiterate, I don't think you're saying that it was luck that they beat you. It was just luck for 20 years that the rivalry has been that way. But what did you see from that team when they did beat you?
Yeah, and they're a very good team, up and down. They got an obvious top four in their lineup that's pretty hard to beat throughout the rest of the league. And then they got a second half of the lineup that will help turn it over to the top. Soto obviously makes a huge impact on that lineup up and down, and they protect him well with Judge and Stanton and Volpe at top. So they're a pretty good lineup, pretty good complete lineup. And then their rotation, their starters have been shoving all year. Rodon, Stroman, Clark Schmidt before he got hurt, and now you add Gerrit Cole to the mix. It's a very good team.
When you're in the minor leagues for the Twins, do you talk to any of the minor leaguers and say, like, look, if you don't throw 100, if you don't have something wipe out, you're not coming to this bullpen? Or is it something that is not discussed and it's just like, we have this locked down? Because every single dude that's called up has just unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just where the game's at right now. Teams are not drafting or really giving much thought to guys that don't have that ability. And I'm not going to say that you need to have it to get to the bigs, because I didn't have it when I first got there. I was more of a pitchability guy, throw strikes, get hitters to off balance, that kind of stuff. But I've just learned how to do it since. So not everybody's path is the same. But I think our bullpen 2 years ago was maybe 3 years ago was one of the smallest velos in the league. But now, we got Duran, Alcala's back throwing upper nines. Brock Stewart, when he's healthy, can get it up there. I've shown it a handful of times. So it's pretty impressive. But when you look up and down the league, everybody's doing it.
Can you give us an insight of what happened to the summer sausage?
I think they left it somewhere. It got to the point where it was just disgusting. You could smell it.
It smelled like the packaging had opened up and you could smell it?
It was just something that had fermented for over the course of a couple months, and it had traveled multiple states, and it was starting to seep through the packaging a little bit. And it was hot outside, we're in the middle of the summer, and that thing just started getting nasty.
You seem like you're not about it. You seem like
I'm glad it's gone. Yeah,
get rid of that thing, please.
That's right.
You're glad it's gone. What about Royce Lewis? Okay, so I've been absolutely blown away with this guy. He's now officially has 81 games. I think it's his pace for a full season's 55 homers and 160 ribbies or something. What has he meant to you guys? And he's hitting tons of homers. Are you playing the homer game out there where you pick someone to click for the day? Because if we used to do that, and I know who I would choose every single day.
Oh, for sure. Well, back to the first question. Royce just brings a spark back to this lineup and a spark back to this team. Regardless of what he does at the plate, just the energy he has that brings to the clubhouse is just contagious, and he gets everybody on their feet and then makes sure everybody gives their best that single day. So we were actually flying home from New York a couple weeks ago. It's 2 a.m. Going to Pittsburgh, and we had a little bit of a delay, and everybody's on the plane. We just lost 3 straight to New York. We're tired. We want to get into Pittsburgh, go to sleep, and Royce is sitting up on his chair screaming at everybody just, to start having some fun and let loose a little bit. So it's the kind of guy he is. But we are playing the game in the bullpen. I've been on an absolute chill of just making the wrong calls at the wrong time. Every time I throw, it's either double play or just an inning-ending, just complete sack. So I'm not allowed to play right now.
Oh,
that's
no.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Have they kicked you out? Have you thrown your hat? Do you guys throw the hat in, or do you put it on the bench or something?
Just toss it.
You got to throw it out. It's got to be on the ground first.
Throw it out.
It's got to hit the ground first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Standard game. As soon as you throw it, do people jump on it like it's a fumble and just get your hat and put it back on? Are you that much of a cooler right now?
No, they should. With just the streak that I've been on has been insane.
We'll stop
trying to speed the game up.
I'm
trying to speed the game up. I get
it. Yeah, I want to go home.
Yes.
All right, Griffin, I got one for you. I know you mentioned the velo in the bullpen. It's going to sound weird asking this, but is Duran okay? Because I think his velo's down a little. It's still worlds ahead of just about everyone else. But I'm sure you guys talk about it in the bullpen where, what is it? It's I'm going to 103 and now it's 101 or whatever, right? It's down a tick or two. Is he okay?
Yeah, the guy's great. Just his work ethic's unbelievable. Shows up the field. It's very impressive for someone his age and for the success he's already had in the bigs to keep doing it every single day. But yeah, he's definitely good. He's not shy about it. It's talked about here and there. I'm sure it's on a lot more people's minds outside of the clubhouse than it is inside the clubhouse, because it's kind of crazy talking about a velo decrease when the guy's still averaging over 100 miles an hour. But that's what happens when you show 103 consistently last year. But the guy's got such weapons that even if he's down a tick or two, he's still getting outs at a pretty incredible pace.
It happens. You lose velo, you don't keep it forever. I want to try something new with you, Griffin, and I want to know how well you know yourself. So I'm about to ask you 3 questions, and I want to see if you can tell me you get it right about your own career. All right.
All right.
I have a bunch of stats up here, and it's funny. Some guys do this, some guys don't. Some guys, I knew all this stuff. Do you know statistically what your best inning that you pitch in terms of the game? What number of inning? What inning is your best inning?
Oh man. I Is it the 8th?
It's the 8th by a lot. You have a 1-7 career in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
So this guy's pitching in the correct inning. What is your best month?
I want to
Every
say
year,
it's
what month?
June. I want to say it's
It
June.
is June. June.
Yeah.
You have a 2-9 career in June. So we're pretty good. 2 for 2 on knowing yourself, but this is a big one. This one might trip you up. This is kind of a doozy.
Yep.
What days of rest do you pitch best? So like back-to-back days, 1 day rest, 2 days rest, 3 days rest.
I got to think 2 days rest, pitching on that third day.
It's 1 day rest, and it ain't even close. You have a 2 ERA when you have 1 day of rest between your outings, and it's like it's still like a 2.8 everywhere else, but it's much better with 1 day rest. And that's fascinating to me because it varies wildly from guy to guy. For example, Adam Ottavino, 3 days rest, he is unhittable. Me, back to back for some reason. The second day was always my best day, and that makes no sense if you think about it.
I mean, that's impressive though for the bullpen.
Hey, 2 for 3 though. I'll give it to you. The first 2 were tough too, so good job.
That was great. Yeah, you got a lot of months to choose from too. So a follow-up to that is, what do you talk to not just the coaching staff, but the analytics team or the ops, whatever you want to call it, right behind the scenes? Like, does it go that in depth on that side, or is it more about pitch mix, effectiveness, stuff like that? Like, would you actually have a conversation and go, hey, just FYI, 1 day rest, I'm probably your guy?
I hope that goes without saying. I think everybody kind of understands, you get a day off here and there, the better you're going to be. But no, yeah, I mean, our conversations are pretty straightforward. Before the series, we'll go through the scout or the lineup, and we'll figure out where our windows are going to be. And we do a pretty good job of identifying those windows and sticking to them.
I like it. All right, question for you about the rest of the division. Are you surprised at how strong it's been at the top? And do you feel like it was getting dumped on by national media? We can raise our hands too. We thought you guys would be good. We're good there. I mean, that makes sense. The team, won the division, went into the playoffs. Did you see Kansas City and Cleveland at this spot right now?
I'll be honest, no. I mean, Cleveland, they are very solid and very fundamentally sound. So you knew they were going to put together some really good baseball. But at the pace they're doing it and the consistency they're doing it throughout the first 3 months of the season, it's been very impressive to watch. Kansas City, though, you could see pieces from them for the past year or two. Their young guys are now in their second and third years in the bigs. With that many at-bats, and you could see that their lineup was starting to put it together. And we've always just said, they get some good quality pitching. They're gonna make some real noise. And I think that's kind of been their heel a little bit this year has been, I want to say their bullpen. But the division as a whole, it's been very good. And, a lot of guys throughout the league will tell you that the Central for the past few years had been, sort of weird, whereas you don't want to come into the series and not give us any attention, because if you just knock us and say, we're playing the Tigers today, we're playing the Royals, whatever, they're still going to put up 8 on you. And you're going to look back in the 6th inning and be like, where did that come from all of a sudden? So it's a very quick division in the sense that if you just don't give them the same amount of attention as, the Dodgers, Yankees, some of those bigger teams, that they can put up some runs pretty quick.
Do you notice an approach change with Cleveland this year? Because their players and coaching staff have talked a lot about it. They've talked about it on this show. But, I mean, it's still hard for most fans to grasp. Like, what? You just decided you're going to, hit with more slug? Welcome to the party.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the one part of the game that they weren't really doing the past couple of years. They were going to beat you with their singles. They were going to put the ball in play, small ball, all the things that, some other teams aren't really focusing on. So they were pesky in that sense. But now the fact that they're hitting homers all of a sudden, like it's not fun for the opposing team.
All right. So Paul Skeens made his debut. Do you consider Paul Skeens an Air Force alum or not?
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, with what he says about his time there and how he carries himself and, the foundations he's working with and just the respect he has for the place is like he graduated. And you have to take him at his word with what he says he wants to do post career. I hope he plays long enough and he makes enough money where he doesn't need to go back and serve. I think that's just the guy he is. But yeah, I do consider him an alum.
Nice. All right, Griffin. I've done a few of your games over the years, and there was a weird note on you forever, and I got to ask you. It said you hate the taste of water, and we've mentioned it a couple of times. So how do you hate the taste of water? Because I've always wanted to ask you, and so please tell me.
I think it's, the tastelessness of water probably. But it's been in the back of my head for my entire life. It's always been something I've been anxious about, growing up playing sports. What's going to be in the Gatorade cooler? It's not going to be Gatorade. It's going to be water. And it's a funny story. Like when I was in basic training at the Air Force Academy, they used to give us these canteens, and we're doing some pretty gnarly physical stuff in the middle of the mountains and on campus at the Air Force in the middle of the summer, and it's hot outside. And I just wouldn't drink anything. I would just almost dehydrate myself. So they'd line us up in these hallways. We'd be facing each other, just grilling us, just treating us like basic cadets, basically. And they'd make us hold out our canteens and to show that we've been hydrating throughout the day. And you would have to dump it and pour it. And if there was anything left, you had to do more physical activity. And of course, the hallway's silent. I'm facing, a couple other kids my age, and everybody got so mad at me because they knew I didn't drink the canteen, and I would be the only one pouring out an entire gallon worth of water out of my canteen. And because of that, my entire unit would have to get more physical activity, more push-ups, sit-ups, running, and all that stuff. So they hated me because of that.
Did they do anything to you? Because they can't hit you with a pitch or anything like that. So what was their retaliation?
I mean, it was just a bunch of groans and this guy's kidding, I didn't make a lot of friends because of that.
That's wild. I didn't know how that worked. Now, it's it's a weird connection to water, but good to know.
For sure.
Griffin, this was
Does it
awesome.
freak you out when other people drink water? Does this
no,
freak
I mean,
you out?
It's out of the faucet.
So tasteless.
Yeah.
Oh, Trevor, it's so tasteless.
Cruel. Griffin, thank you, dude. This was awesome. Great way to finish the combo.
Yeah.
Hey, we do things a little weird on here. But appreciate the time, dude. Really great having you on the show. Keep doing your thing with Minnesota, and I would love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. It was a blast.
Look, Nick.
Thank you.
The balls are definitely different. I mean, every year they're different. The biggest thing for me about the balls is I think I found a ball from maybe our Braves days, AJ, when I was maybe cleaning some stuff out. Yeah, the balls are so much to me, they're physically smaller now than they used to be early in my career. And right now,
what do you mean? The balls are smaller? They're if you took one ball. If you took two different balls and you held them up, one this would be one, and then the next ball would be physically smaller.
So yeah, balls now compared to early in my career, it's night and day. The balls were 100% physically bigger than they are.
Bigger. Oh, they were bigger. Now they're smaller.
Now they're smaller, and
does that mean that they're wound tighter and they might go farther?
They probably go farther. Yeah, I mean, obviously, offense has been a big focus, for the league the last couple of years, just like it was in the NBA with all, where people don't play defense, they want to see scoring, right? It is what it is. But even now, you definitely will get balls that are bigger and smaller during a game currently right now, and so I know when I throw baseballs out. When I get a new one, it's usually because it feels like a cue ball in my hand. I'm like, I don't want to, I don't want to throw this ball across the plate. So I'll try and get a new one. And I know it's something a lot of guys have talked about is like primetime games. You get Sunday night baseball, or I don't know what nights they do everything now. There's Sunday night, there's Monday night, there's Thursday, like some of those
Saturday,
primetime games.
Saturday nights. Hey, some of us work on Saturday nights calling games on
Barely.
a big network. It's on a big network. It has 3 letters. I think it's it's called Fox.
And
We also have the All-Star game in the World Series and all the playoffs. I'm just saying, probably should check into that.
But a lot of those primetime games, you get a lot more of those smaller balls. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but it is interesting.
Okay, so next time I do a game, I'm going to make sure I get a ball from the game, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to get a ball from when I played for the Giants in 2004, and I'm going to be like,
I guarantee you, if you go into that trophy room of yours and you grab a ball from back in the day, they will feel significantly different. Like significantly.
Okay, I believe you. I totally believe you. And are you saying they're playing with home run derby balls?
No, I'm not saying those home run derby balls are crazy. They're not.
Batter up. Ready? We're going to speed through this. We got 3 for you today. It's Trevor, it's AJ, it's Kratz. Ready to go. And if you know it, just yell it out right away. Here's our first batting stance.
It's got to be. It looks like Matt Olson.
Does, but the hands are different. He's smoother with them. Trent Grisham. No, his are lower. I have no idea.
Tony Caglione.
Who'd you say?
The dude from Florida.
Oh, Jack Haggs?
Yeah.
He does not hit like that.
Nothing?
Nothing, man. How am I?
AJ, do you agree that it's not Olsen, even though there's parts of Olsen in there? Or do you want to throw the name out?
You can try it.
His hands are like they're farther out and then they come back in.
He doesn't waggle. He smooth. He's really smooth back. But
All right, well,
everything else is pretty. Swings a little different too.
Just put the name in there
closer.
just to do it. And
National
you know it is the
National
An
League.
Oriole.
He's an infielder.
Oh, is it National League?
It seems really significant that it's not Kelnick, is it?
Ooh,
It's
No,
not
he's
the
on
Braves. No, it's not the Braves.
it's not the Braves. I think it's an Oriole.
He's a first baseman. Cowser? I think Cowser's
but it's
more.
National League,
he's more
isn't
of
it?
It's a National League guy.
Oh, yellow.
Brandon Crawford.
Oh, the start looks like Brandon Crawford, but I don't see any hair.
That does look like Brandon Crawford.
The start does.
I feel like his hands are a little lower too.
Hey.
AJ, you're the best.
Thank you, Mike, in the chat.
I was going to say, was that you or was that Mike? You saw Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good job, Mike. 2 more.
Oh, it hesied.
Oh my God.
Volpe? No, Volpe kind of has like a.
Kind of looks like Andrelton Simmons, but it's not.
Is it Profar?
Oh, that might be Profar from the right side.
Profar from the right side. Not even close. Nothing.
Not even close.
American League.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we know it's American League.
Right.
Westberg.
Oh.
Righties with it's pretty. I don't know. Generic. It's generic. It is. There's nothing. It looks like Westberg.
Westberg kind of has a generic swing. I don't hate that.
Okay.
So we know it's the American League. We know we don't know much. That didn't tell us much.
He's proud to be an American.
Oh my God. Trying to look at the walk. Garver? No, Garver's is a little bit higher hands.
No, Nationally American League East. It's not the East, right?
No, it could be NL East.
Mike says Ohapi.
Or
Mike
sorry,
said
no.
Ohapi.
Ooh.
It's American League.
Mike said Ohapi.
Ohapi's a good one.
Mike, if you are getting this, Mike, you are Mike.
Bang, 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 bang.
Mike is a cheater.
I should know. I've given up a homer to that guy.
Wow.
He's not even like a. Yeah, mad I didn't see that.
Logan's
That's
joining
easy.
the show tomorrow too, so we'll let him know.
I can't.
Yeah,
Can't
that's
deny it.
Maeda. I thought I thought the hesitation there was a glitch, but it's actually Kenta Maeda.
Yeah, he does the glove
Yeah.
tap on his knee.
I like the pitcher ones better. Just throwing that out there.
I don't know. I like the hitter.
I like the
ones.
pitcher ones. Anyway,
I like that. I actually like
We're
the
gonna
other
go
ones a
over-
little more too.
you like the pitcher ones? Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably go on a heater on the pitching ones.
No, I like the hitter ones. Hitters.
Oh, you like the hitter ones?
Mason, were you invited? Were you invited to the combine out of college?
Yeah, I was. I went to the first combine. I think it was 2021. It was out at Gardner Webb. That was the first year they did it, I believe.
I'm putting it all together. That's what I'm remembering you going, because I remember hearing about. I was there. I was at the combine. I coached one of the teams, and you didn't pitch, right?
I just threw like the 15 pitch, like showcase style thing.
And do you think that's good? Because I remember you throwing and not throwing in the game, and everyone being like, "What?" I forget which team you were on, but all the coaches were together and the managers were together, and we were like, whoever it was that you were supposed to be on their team, like, "What? I'm not going to get him to throw? That sucks." But do you think that's good? Because we look at football, and the combine is such a huge thing. Do you think that is something that you could have upped your draft status? Did it up your draft status? And, what do you think we could improve on with the combine?
Yeah, to me, I think combine, the stuff that jumps off the page, like the NFL combine, you do your dash time, do some jumps, like it's all kind of stuff, guys are playing football or baseball the whole year, you have time to go see them in games. And I don't know how many games they play at the combine, maybe a handful or maybe just one, but I think there's a chance that sample size isn't super reflective. So at least for me, I threw 95 innings that season, and coming into the combine, it was more of nobody really knew how to treat it. There's the medical side of it, the sit down interviews with teams. I don't think it hurt me for sure. And I think going out and popping some numbers definitely built a little bit more excitement around me too. So maybe teams were a little bit more apt to reach for me as a fifth-year senior. But I think it's really hard to quantify. I think it's a perfect situation for some guys, and I think a lot of guys have a lot to lose by going to something like that.
Leo, Dodgers, White Sox, your free game of the day, streaming on the BetMGM app, live streaming available to all BetMGM customers. If you're logged in and you have a funded account, I won't give you any more in this game because it's part of my lock. Yesterday, only Todd hit because he's just on absolute fire this year. Todd Father is up well over $3,000. He's just money right now. Okay, let's get to our picks because we have 4 of us plus Pap Gnosticators. So there's Pap, 17-17, up 4 figures, and hopefully he's not on an airplane, or I don't know, maybe he is. Maybe he's in prison. Who knows?
What's up, FT Nation? It's your boy Parlay Pap. I got another one for you today. I'm in Beantown, and you know when I'm in Beantown, my picks are always on. So here we go. First pick, 2-leg parlay. Orioles, over tonight. Orioles are going to come out tonight. I think they're going to, honestly, I think Carrasco is going to need a Band-Aid after the game today because I look at the Orioles putting up about 10 tonight on the board. And you know my other bet. Royals, you know who they're playing? The Marlins. You know what? The Marlins suck. They lost to them yesterday. Ain't no way they're going to lose a series against the Marlins. 2-game parlay, put it in the books, get that money.
Royals are struggling actually right now. They are a disaster in the month of June after a hot start. But all right, Pap, we'll see what happens. Trevor, you want to follow?
Sure. I'm taking Minnesota -1.5 because I don't know what I'm doing. So we're learning.
Perfect.
Just
all right, well,
stumbling around in the dark. That's how I learn.
That's fine. Okay, learn through us. Kratz, you want to give him some education, and we're tight on time.
I'll give you the money line for the Yankees today and the Orioles money line. I think the Yankees are going to come back and split the Subway series, and I'm always betting for Grayson Rodriguez to do well.
AJ?
I took the Orioles also because they don't get swept. And, geez, I just blanked on my other one. What was it? It was the Orioles and I took a parlay and it was 2 heavy favorites. It was, sorry. The Padres. Why? Because they're pissed and Dylan Cease is pitching. So they're both -190, but it gets me to +132 if they both win.
I'll go Dodgers money line -1.5 at -115. It's Gavin Stone. They win almost every start he's got. And these have been pretty close games. Dodgers are going to explode in one of them. White Sox have been using some of their better pitchers. This is a huge mismatch on paper. So I'll go with the run line on that one. And you can play the BetMGM Swing for the Fences game once a day if you're in the app. And you get an opportunity to get either a hit or an out or anything in between. Reward types include odds boost tokens, bonus spins, and bonus bets. All rewards expire in 24 hours. That is it for the show on Bally Sports TV and on the app. We'll stick around for Slap Hands coming up in just a moment, but we'll be back on the show tomorrow. We're here every single weekday on Bally Sports. Kratz hats first. What do you got?
Syracuse Sky Chiefs BP hat. Just a little bit of out of context noise for Ricky to make. These shallow hats are so tough. But the logo's decent.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I can see the subway from my view right now. So it's weird you show that and literally the subway came through right there. I'll give it a B. I like the color. Anyone?
Trevor doesn't like a B.
D-.
D-.
Because oh God, Syracuse. There's a no. And you said it. I mean, it's one of those stretchy hats, so I hated those two. Also a guy with a melon, so I needed the deeper crown sit. But I will say the logo is okay. It's not an F, and the gray is okay. But yeah, not
just because it's from Syracuse.
Yeah, and then you add Syracuse in. It's no, thank you.
Cloudy.
All right, one more because we have it. One more question that we didn't get to that Greg on Twitter for Ask May said, Trevor, why did you retire 2 years short of your full pension? Isn't it a big jump to hit 10 years of service time? And I guess just the question in general, where I know some people still have you on their fantasy team or something, and they're just waiting for you to, come out of retirement. I think they're confused. They might need a reconfirmation.
Why you would ever do that? So full disclosure, I'm over 9 years of service time, so it's not 2 years, it's 1. And it's prorated. So most pensions don't kick in unless you hit the threshold, like in other jobs. Baseball's not the case. So I get 90% of a full pension. And so I was like, is the last 10% worth another spring training, no. So I just didn't want to. At the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm good. And that's it. And now I'm here on FT. So I'm having a good time and I don't regret it.
Perfect. We're loving it. Great answer. And I know some people had thoughts about some of the other teams. We'll get to them either tomorrow or the next day, depending on how the Cubs do. If they continue to be a disaster, they're 37-43. And who else? Oh, Houston. Just wanted to shout them out too on our way out. They beat Colorado. They're 1 game away from the 500 mark. Yeah, that was quick. Hunter Brown is on fire right now, throwing gas deep into his outing yesterday. They went from 10 games back a week ago to 4.5 back. And that's in the division. So just throwing that out there. Can we all just raise your hand if you think Houston is not selling at the trade deadline? Come on, Kratz. Are you kidding me?
They did a lot of work to get where they are.
Woo! We got more to talk about the next couple of days. All right. Logan O'Hoppe, Ken Rosenthal, and Johnny Gomes joining us on the show on Thursday. And Trevor's next show is at the All-Star break. We'll see him in Texas. We'll see you there, Trevor.
I'll be there.
Appreciate you. See everyone on Thursday.